What is up, everyone? This is Charmaine Broom with Blended Families Rock, and you are here for another edition of Blended Family Talk. Today, I have someone that I am so excited to have here on the show. His name is Franco, but he is better known as the Professional StepDad. Franco is an actor, host of the Professional StepDad podcast and YouTube show, 60-second storyteller, and stepfather of 5, y'all. He loves sharing wisdom, insight, and antidotes about being a father and fatherhood. Driven by his passion to affect real change, Franco is on a mission to challenge the current narrative around the meaning and purpose of being a stepdad in today's world. Franco, thank you so much. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. So I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
How did you come up with the name, the Professional StepDad?
My son and I are avid basketball fanatics. He's been playing basketball. I taught him to play basketball at 3, and his goal has always been to become a professional. And he was talking to me while we were in my office, and I was trying to come up with a great name for the show because I didn't want to come across like I was a know-it-all, but I also didn't want to come across as some, random guy that gives you advice at your favorite sports bar on a Sunday. So I asked him what he would do when it comes to like coming up with a good name for a show. And he goes, Dad, you're a stepdad. He goes, and you want to be a professional, but not all stepdads can be professionals until they put in the time, energy, effort, and work. And my 11-year-old telling me this. So I'm just kind of listening to him, how he's trying to compare it between basketball and being a parent. And he says, every dad strives to be the very best that they can be. So why don't you call yourself the professional stepdad? Because that is where you want to get to, this level of professionalism that you can look back at your journey and say, man, I remember when I was a rookie. I remember when I got drafted right before I even came into the league. I remember my first 2 or 3 years, and then I got traded and then you can kind of just pick and choose where you want to place that in your step parenting journey. And that is where the Professional StepDad came from, because it is a place where I want every stepdad to get to, which is this ability to feel like they are living their life as a professional at what they do, because there are so many obstacles to overcome along the way.
For sure. You said something that really stuck out to me, that your stepson actually gave you that name. And I think it's such a beautiful thing, because in order for your stepson to be able to do something like that for you, there has to be a level of trust, right?
Right.
Did it take you a long time to get to that place, that level of trust with him?
Oh yeah. Well, my son, yes and no. I've been in my son's life since he was 6 months old.
Wow.
His father passed away when he was 6 months old, and his 4 older sisters were, the oldest one, my daughter Brinley, who is now 21. She was the trust kind of trickled on down the line. So I had to really learn to gain trust with her first, because she's the oldest. Therefore, she was the closest to dad. Mm-hmm. Therefore, she's like the speaker of the house, if you want to call her that, when mom's not around. She's the protector, right? She's this gateway entry that you need to do for any dad. Mm-hmm. And then you have my second oldest, and then on down the line. And so the level of trust with my son kind of always been there. I've been with him since he was a baby, but I can tell you that everything that I have done with my son, I first had to try out on my daughter, right? It's just certain little things that I had to go through here before I could try it on this end to make sure that it worked. Because the last thing I wanted to do was not necessarily step on anybody's toes, right, but the last thing I wanted to do was look like I was trying too hard.
Yeah. So even with you saying that, and you having older stepchildren, I've learned along my blended family journey that younger children are the easiest to, I don't want to say persuade, but influence when it comes to trying to show them that you are genuine in your approach. But the older kids, it takes more time. What are some of the things that you did as a stepfather that other stepfathers can lean on when it comes to trying to gain trust in the older children?
Well, so that's a great question. So here's what I learned. What I learned within the first few years, the first 3 years was always, I think it's a rocky start for every stepdad.
Mhm.
What I learned is that that trust that you're trying to build, the persuasiveness that you have towards your younger kids and that you can have is also a very tricky place to be in. Here's why. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to cause a division within the family. And you don't want your older kids who you have to put more work in, more time, more energy, more effort. You have to get to know who they are. You got to speak their language.
Mhm.
What you don't want to do is you don't want to cause a division to show like, hey, listen, I've already got, your three younger siblings already love me and accept me. So I think you should too. And it's putting them in a position to where they are either going to fight and stubbornly fight for that position back, or they are going to feel left out. So what I learned was everything that I did from the youngest kid to my oldest daughter, I had to do the same thing to each and every one of them, but just speaking their different love languages.
Mm.
And it wouldn't work. What I do for my daughter Brinley would not work on my son. It just wouldn't. And then so on and so forth. So yes, it's harder to gain the trust of the children, of course, especially the older children, as opposed to the younger ones. Like my three youngest kids call me dad, but my two oldest daughters call me Franco and mom,
Mm.
because when they say Franco or when they are calling me or texting me or whatever it might be, I know what they mean. I know where their love comes from, and I don't need some sort of a title that is supposed to be given to me because I put the work in order to feel like I belong, right?
Yeah.
So, but I can tell you right now, what the best thing I did was when I first came in. The last thing I did was try to get the admiration, the acceptance, and the love from the kids, because I would have been doomed for failure. I would have
Wow.
put all my attention into the kids, and I would have forgot that there are much more important things to do in the beginning in order to establish this base and this foundation.
Okay, now this is so good to me.
Right.
This is going to be. I don't even know if I'm going to get to the pre-written questions because this is kind of going in a even better direction.
Okay.
Um, but two things. I want to piggyback on. I saw your post from today about the importance of understanding the love languages. It was amazing and brilliant. What can you expound right now on or touch on some of the importances of and the benefits of knowing the love language, and also can you also talk about some of the more important things that need to be done in the beginning to set that foundation
Sure.
before you just expect or look to your children to call you a certain or gain a certain title.
Right. Okay. So when I decided, well, first and foremost, let me tell you, I was a skeptic about love languages because coming from a background and a childhood like I had, I was raised a little bit of a man's man. My dad was an emotional man, but didn't ever want to see me cry. And I was in the
Mhm.
military for 7 years, so it kind of hardened me a little bit.
Okay.
And so understanding love languages would have been a harder road for me if I wouldn't have already had this base of my life of personal growth, right? So before I can learn my kids' love languages, before I can learn my wife's, I had to learn me. I had to figure out what my love language is first. I had to figure out why I react and why I act towards specific situations in our family.
Got
Whether I'm a stepdad or just a man in the house, I had to figure out why I was jumping the gun on some things, but I would take offense to others. So I
it.
sat down and I just did the work, right? And when I mean do the work, I read books and I try to understand. To say it the most frank way that I can, I had to let go of my old shit,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to let go of it fast, because if I didn't, I would have been bringing the old me into this new journey, and that
Yes.
old me would not have mixed. It just wouldn't have worked at all. So I started reading the five love languages for me. I had to find out who I was first. And then when
Nice.
I kind of understood what it was, I got my secondary love language. So my love language is words of affirmation. I love to be, told certain specific things. Is that yours too? Very good.
Yes.
And my secondary, my primary is words of affirmation, and
Mhm.
my secondary is affirmations, or I'm sorry, physical touch.
Okay.
And my wife's is physical touch, and then
Okay.
so we're kind of flip flopped on that.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to learn who we were first. We kind of understand those love languages. I read the whole book. We studied together, and then I just went online and I found the five love languages test for kids. And we were at lunch. I took all the kids to lunch, and I bought them all what they wanted because it was a Sunday and it was after church, and I had these quizzes and I put them down. I go, hey, let's play a game. So they just had to circle some stuff, and that helped me identify their love languages.
Nice.
So now that I identified it, I had to go, okay, I got it. I understand what their love language is now. I have to talk to her this way, but not talk to him that way. I have to understand that by age 11 to like 17, their love languages are probably going to change. They're not going to be who they were when they were 3 and 4 and 5,
Yeah.
So I came up with a system that I call the Kids Corner, where I each day will speak the love language of that child so I can learn to communicate with that child more. And so away I went. And I did that for 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
Every single day, just trying to understand it, because I had to figure out, like, I wanted to make sure I was always in a position where they feel comfortable to talk to me. Even though I wasn't dad, even though I'm not dad, I wanted to make sure that they felt like they could trust me, right? And the only way you can get somebody that you can gain trust with an individual, and this is for marriages and partnerships alike, the only way you can gain trust is to learn to communicate properly. And that almost has nothing to do with what you say.
Yes.
Right. So that's basically what I did. So I got this thing on the side of my desk here. It hangs. It's a whiteboard, and it's just a calendar, right? And it just has each day of the week. And so I kind of roll the dice, and each kid will go up each day, and then their love language goes under it. And then that day but the cool thing is they got into it too, and they started looking forward. So they would come in my office and they would look, yes, tomorrow's my day. And they would like get super excited about this little tiny thing, even if it was like make lunch for me, or make my bed, or like spend an hour reading to me, or let's watch 2 episodes of the Darman, whatever show, and this is not a lot of time either. So that's what I did.
That's freaking amazing. That is so amazing. And it really touches on one of the questions that I was going to ask you about any advice that you can give to stepdads and bonus dads who want to figure out ways to bond with their stepchildren. But listening to what you just said, I think that's one amazing way.
Yeah, one thing, a stepdad or a bonus dad or whatever the hell other language or acronym that
Right.
Right? The best thing you could do if you're trying to figure out a way to bond with your kids, best thing you can do is just shut the hell up and listen. Because they're going to tell you what they need. They're going to tell you how they feel. They're going to tell you what they want. But if you're so busy trying to solve their problems, hello, husbands, don't do that to your wives. If you're so busy trying to solve their problems, you're not actually listening to what's happening, right? And it's not like I don't make mistakes or I don't screw it up sometimes, of course, because life gets thrown at you. But shutting the hell up and just listening will give you a really good starting point, right? It'll kind of give you that barometer. It'll let you know where your compass is supposed to point, and then you just go.
For sure. Can you touch back on some of the things that need to be done in the beginning to help set the foundation, as opposed to trying to just jump in and gain a title?
Right. Okay. So I have this program that I'm working on now with this amazing company who does educational stuff online. And again, mind you, so some people ask me if I'm some sort of a counselor, or I did personal development and growth speaking on stage for a few years, just because I love talking and I love to answer. More important, here's the best part: I love learning. Like I love being wrong in a given situation, because then it'll help me dissect first why I thought I was right, but second, what is a better angle that I could take at it. So for stepdads, with this title and this name, I worked with over 10 years. I worked on a me, us, them method, meaning I worked really fucking hard on myself first. I didn't do anything else. I worked on me first. That was like the first foundational years. This is when I knew I was about to be a stepdad. I knew that I loved my wife. I knew that I wanted to marry her. I knew that this is where I want to be. Okay, so I made that decision. So here's where most dads don't. Most dads will say they do. They'll raise their hand. They'll say, I'm here for you. But subconsciously, they have this right foot out the door. Right? They won't let their old life close, that door close. And it's like their safety net. Okay, so step one, close the damn door. You got to go all in or go home, period. So the me, us, them is I really worked hard on myself. and then I worked real hard on our relationship. There's this fictional thing, and I say fiction. Am I saying it right? There's this. It's just it's a fictional thing that people have told me along the way, which is, and you're not going to be able to see this, but it's this, bio mom here, stepdad there, line in the sand. I can do this. You can only do that. That's how it's going to be. Deal with it. And I can tell you right now that is one of the most poisonous ways that you can ever raise a family, period. Bio dad or bio mom or aunt, uncle, I call them they, which is the neighbors and the people that want to poke into your lives.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only way you can get past them is if you can get to so you start with me, then you go to us. And the us is like building this team. It's a 50-50 split on this is the kind of people and parents and mentors and role models that we want to be to our children. I don't care if they're bio or not. If I found 5 kids off the street and I was raising them, it wouldn't matter. I would still have to be a good role model. So if I'm a piece of crap, they're going to grow up to be a piece of crap. It's just the way that it is. And if mom and dad or mom and stepdad are jumping into a relationship where it's 60-40 or 70-30, for the most part, 90-10, a stepdad will feel like they're shackled down, like they can't move. They don't have enough room to kind of like try to do what they would like and do what they want. And that's not it's not nothing against stepdads. And stepdads, I want you to listen to this. It has nothing to do with you guys. Listen, she's guarding her heart. These are her kids. Like this is where her bloodline and everything, all of her energy flows. And if you're going to be this person that steps in and you're going to step up, she needs to know that she can trust you, dude. And you're there because somebody before you lost that trust. Mm-hmm. Or a situation happened that lost trust. So it's your job to not try to step in and be a dad or to try to replace anybody. Your job is to try to help her build trust. And that's why you need team. You need to work on each other. That means setting goals for one another. That means holding each other accountable and responsible for the next 6 months of your life. Be like, hey, I got your back. You got my back. And when we parent, it's not screaming and yelling. It's solving and moving on.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Absolutely. That's so good. I remember you saying, stepfathers, if you're going to step up, and step in, then do just that. What about the stepdad who doesn't really understand his place? Because I believe that when you're a step parent, you have a role. And I think that you can either be the supporter or you can be the disciplinarian, right? Mm. Men, you all have a male dominance, that's that male presence there. People are more prone to listen to a man than they are a woman. What would you say to stepfathers who are coming in, who automatically, they want to step up and they want to do, the man thing, but they're having a hard time navigating through what their role should be?
Well, first, identifying what your role is like you just said a second ago. You said you're either a supporter or either disciplinarian. Mm-hmm. Why? You don't have to be. You don't have to be. You don't have to be that. That is something that you're told and I'm told and TV tells us and books tell us and movies tell us the role that we're supposed to play. But is it the role? I mean, I thought our job was to make sure that the children that are in front of us grow up to learn and understand life, to be respectful and honest and learn manners and having a good foundation when it comes to like living their truth, mm-hmm. to getting their back on no matter what they do. And yeah, there's disciplining, but trust me, I was disciplined a certain way, which was bats and whips, and I'm joking, bats and whips, but like belts and wooden spoons and bloody legs. Like that's how I was raised.
Wow.
But I can tell you that I wasn't the best kid growing. I mean, I got into so much trouble to the point where I had to join the military. So there are things that you can do when you learn to shut up and listen, especially with a kid that is causing that problem. So stepdads are like, what's my place in the family? Look, man, your place is, do you want to be there? Yes or no? Yes, I do. Great answer. You want to be there. Next step. I want you to take everything you've learned up to this point in your life when it comes to like how you discipline, how you talk to people, how you communicate, throw that right out the window. Because guess what? This is a brand new slate. So I want you to go back and I want you to go work on you. I want you to go figure out why when one of your kids starts crying randomly out of nowhere that you get stressed out in your head so much that you just blow up at somebody. Why do you do that? My mom did it probably. I mean, I need you to backtrack that. So what I will have them do is I'll have them write down this list. Write down all the things that you want to get better at. Like if you had to identify yourself in 10 words of adjective phrases, what would they be? And then I want you to go write down all the things that you would never want to be. Just push those to the side, or something, maybe something that happened to you, right? And then we need to lock in on like a good three words that really help describe who you are. Then that's a really good foundation of finding your spot. Your spot is, you got to earn it.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta work on you. Got to build teamwork. Then you make the communication with the kids. Because trust me when I tell you this, and here's a really cool point. I've got 4 girls, so I mean, a big responsibility not only to raise them. I've got 4 girls. I've got my girls how a man should.
Yeah.
Right. So and they see that by the way I treat mom. So your place is to get her back, hold her up, be there when she needs you. Don't second guess what she's doing, but maybe suggesting, but behind closed doors, not in front of the kids. There's no reason to do it yet. You haven't earned that spot yet. You'll know when your spot's up. For some people, it comes quick. For some, it doesn't. Just the payoff, it can't be something that you look for. You cannot look for the attaboy. This is a job, because our job is to overcome the inherited ignorance of everybody behind us.
Yeah.
Because it's our responsibility to teach new step parents, blended bonus dads, whatever, that you can do this. It can be fun and it can be an experience if you just let go of who you were.
Right. Yeah.
You have.
So you have some stepfathers, and I don't, of course, you explained earlier that your stepchildren's father unfortunately passed away. But you have stepdads where the bio father is very much so present. But the bio dad is kind of disrespectful. I don't know if you've dealt with maybe family members on your wife's side who kind of felt like they needed to be a little bit more overprotective because we're coming into the picture. And if we can kind of like compare that to maybe what a bio father would do, what did you do if that was your experience? What did you do to try to kind of overcome that?
Well, what I did is, so yes, bio dad died in my scenario. And what was left behind was a bunch of brothers and sisters on his end, a wife that was broken, a grandparents, so my wife's mom and grandma and their side of the family, super protective mode. And I did not have a crazy bio dad down the street that would try to, talk crap about me when the kids were over at his house on every other Thursday. I did not have that. What I did have is both sides of that family second guessing everything that I did in my face every day, from different angles, from all walks, from Monday through Monday. I had to damn near, I did what most stepdads do, is I fought. I argued and I complained and I bitched and I moaned and I cried. And then I learned a valuable lesson. And what I learned was this: I can only control the things that happen within the walls of my home.
Yes.
That's all I can control. And if I let the poison outside of my home come into my home, then I lose.
Yes.
So what I did was I sat down and I explained to my wife, listen, this is what I get when you're not around. This is what I hear when you're not around. And it's affecting not our relationship, but it's affecting my confidence. I'm like, and it's making me second guess, like, why am I putting up with this shit? And what we came up with was a great plan. And the plan was, you want to have your own opinions about Franco? Please do. Like, you want to be protective, for all means. You have every right, especially like, Chris was his name, the dad that died, especially his parents and his brothers and sisters. You have every right to question this, especially a man coming into a home with 4 girls. I mean, you can imagine the ignorance that goes that way, right? So what we did was we came up with a plan, which was, let them do it. They just can't do it in our home.
Yeah, that's so good. And I'm sure that was a way for your wife covering you in that aspect was a way for you to begin to gain confidence again.
Of course.
Right? Yeah. So I really believe that I'm sure there's a stepfather that's gonna, that's watching this and they're like, yo, like, okay, there's some light at the end of this tunnel. You know, they're encouraged now to maybe go to their wife and sit down. It goes back to the communication piece. You know, it's not what you say, but it is how you say it. But
Right.
I've learned along my journey that communication is so important. When I counsel my, you know, when I'm in my one-on-one counseling sessions, I talk a lot about the importance of communication. My husband and I, we talk about how one conversation can fix anything, you know. So it's all about talking. So that is that's super, super good. Is there a way that you can encourage other stepdads and bonus dads who deal with parent alienation?
Define parent alienation. What do you mean by that?
Feeling like um you're deliberately not a part of something. Like for instance, say go ahead. What'd you say?
I got you.
Okay.
You mean they don't feel like they're a part of the equation, almost like they're just like a stand-in role in a movie.
Yeah, yeah, sort of, kind of, yeah.
So
Or being excluded, you know, like a family, you know, your like, say for instance, hypothetically, your
yeah,
wife's family, you know, at some point would have said, hey, you guys can come over for Christmas, but we don't really particularly want Franco there. Or
that's
you know,
happened.
that's happened.
Yeah, yeah, that happened in the first few years. Yeah, nobody wanted me there. Let me tell you something. My son is 11, just turned 12. Holy crap, he's old. My son just turned 12. I was at his first birthday party. So remember, I came into his life when he was 6. When I say came into his life, I mean I was there, like I was around. Wasn't stepdad yet. I wasn't even boyfriend. I was just Franco. And I could tell you a whole different story. If I told you the story about my wife and I, it would blow you away, because my wife and I have known each other since we were 6. We grew up 7 houses down from each other. We lost touch for 13 years. When I came back to Arizona, she had been married with 5 kids. I had just become an actor at the age of 31. Fast forward 4 years, I'm still not stepdad. I'm in the house. My second oldest daughter yells at me, "You can't talk to me like that. You're not my stepdad." Blows me away, because she had no idea how much work I was putting into being a stepdad. So I sat down and wrote a screenplay, and I made a freaking movie, and I put it on Netflix for 2 years about a stepdad who came from the military that worked his butt off to try to all this stuff, right? There's so much before that not a lot of people know. Before I even got to this spot, the Professional StepDad couldn't even come up until COVID hit. So with the alienation thing, yeah, like when I went to his first birthday party, mind you, I wasn't anything yet, but I was some new guy in a house, and his family members wanted me the hell out of there. And for years, I was never comfortable going anywhere. I would purposely find something to do so I wouldn't have to put myself in that position. And then lo and behold, I get put, you know, I get a couple national commercials, and all of a sudden they see me on TV while during the Super Bowl or during the playoffs. And now all of a sudden they're looking at me like, oh, we accept him now. But you don't get it. Like, that's not how this works.
Right.
Because while you were sitting there holding a grudge, I was building love and trust with my kids. Because at the end of the day, kids are smart, and none of it matters. What the only thing that will ever matter is your character and how you handle things behind closed doors. So if you're there talking shit about grandma, grandpa, bio dad, bio mom, it doesn't matter. If you're running your mouth all the time, that's what defines you in your character.
Yes.
So what do you do when no one's paying attention? That's how you start to build that trust.
So what encouraged you to stay? Like when you, because
I was in love. That's it. Love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love. That's it. I have my middle daughter's Clara. Okay. And when I first met her, she was turning 5. And she was on the couch, and I walk in her house, and she sits down next to me, and she goes, "I like you." And I was hooked. I was hooked. That's it. I don't know what to say. Like, that's it. That's the reason I'm there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that is beautiful. So let's see.
Yeah.
What is your biggest inspiration being a stepdad?
I think the thing that inspires me every day, I think the thing that inspires me every day about being a stepdad is that I've transcended past the word stepdad.
Okay.
I'm past that. I'm on. And when I speak about my kids in public or in open forums, you'll never know that they're my stepchildren unless I deliberately tell you.
Okay.
Right? You know, so the thing that inspires me is the fact that I'm so happy and grateful that I put in the work
Whew.
in order to get to where I am now. But more important, I'm so happy and grateful that I had my partner, my wife, that I had her um, just supporting like what I
Mhm.
was doing and not second guessing what I was doing. See, I didn't try. I wasn't trying too hard, right? Like in the beginning, where most dads fail is they smother the kids or they smother the mom or they throw gifts and presents at everybody. I didn't try to do that. I wanted to kind of go, I wanted to, it's like a business or a company that you build. I knew that in order to understand, I had to just kind of just be a fly on the wall and listen and try to get things and try to connect and communicate and make a joke here and there to try to see if it worked. And a lot of different things I tried and failed on. A lot of things I tried and failed on.
Yeah.
But I kept going because I knew that great example would be this. My oldest daughter, I told you, she's the stubborn one, meaning like she was the one, she's the gatekeeper.
Mm.
Right? When I told her that when the kids found out that I was going to ask mom to marry me, she wasn't about it. Mm-mm.
Mm.
No, I don't think it's a good idea. She would always throw these little things at me. I don't, probably not yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that I wasn't communicating with her properly. And she's
Mm.
very strong-willed and again, she's protected. So I knew that I had to put her in a position so that she can trust me. So I took this very expensive ring that I bought for her and I
Mhm.
walked into my daughter's room and I gave it to her.
Mm.
I said, I'm going to put you in charge of this. And when I ask your mom to marry me, I want you to hand it to me. I want you to be the one that like makes the decision. And at the moment, if you want me to marry your mother at that moment, please hand me the ring. And if you don't hand me the ring. And I will totally understand. And we will work on it. But I put it in her hands because I wanted her to see that it wasn't about me. It was about them. And the whole thing was about them. It had nothing to do with me. I took it out of my hands, put it in their hands, and I don't want to say it worked like, yeah, it worked because but it worked. It worked because she saw how hard I was trying. And it was cool because for like the next few weeks, she would always bring it in the she would always come in my office or in my, where if I was in the front end, and she'd like, where mom wasn't looking, she'd be like, I got it. And I'm like, yes, thank you. And I was like, made her feel like, okay, great. Like she's taking control and responsibility because at the end of the day, she was the closest to dad.
Mm.
And Brinley never said, and that's her name, Brinley. She never said, thank you, or I never got the admiration or maybe like the that validation from her. I never got it like verbally. And then she graduates from high school and I get this letter and there it was. Now I say this because I started when she was 9. She graduated at 18. So I put in that much work and I waited and I was patient and I shut up and listened and I worked on me and I worked on my wife and I worked on my kids and it paid off over here.
Yeah.
The point is that some will pay off a little bit, some will take longer, but at the end of the day, there is a payoff as long as your intentions are good.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that is so good. Whew, I know we're almost literally out of time, but gosh, that just means that we just have to come back and do something else. This has just been absolutely phenomenal. I think that, like I stated earlier on, like I feel like stepdads don't get a lot of recognition. They don't get a lot of shine. And you said something to me about how stepfathers are the most judged, but they're also beautiful parts about being a stepdad. So I'm hopeful that a stepfather that's watching this is encouraged by this and is motivated to keep going, to not give up. This blended family journey and step family journey is not easy at all. There are many moments where I have even felt like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this any longer. But of course, it is the love that has kept me here. And the same with you. So it's very beautiful. I am just so inspired by your story, and I'm a bonus mom.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Why did you start your show?
I started my show because I feel like when my family and I were going through our journey, we didn't have a blueprint to help us navigate through this lifestyle. And so we had to literally fight to create our own blueprint. And so I figured, why not try to help be a solution to a problem that is just just so humongous. In 2011, like there were 1,300 step families that were formed every single day. We're in 2021, and I can't even imagine the increase of blended families now that are created every single day.
Yeah.
And so with more blended families, there are going to be more problems because no one has it all figured out, right? And
Right.
everybody goes to their own, situation, and it's different. Like with us, like our family, we had an entire fight. And I mean like a real fight. Like we threw
Yeah.
blows, we scrapped. It was bad,
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like there are people who are in worse situations than we were, and there are people who have been through who have been through the same thing, and they still haven't overcome. And so why not create a platform that helps people to be able to have an outlet to
Yeah.
know and to learn and to grow, and so that's why we created Blended Families Rock, man.
That's a cool name, by the way. I want to
Oh,
make sure I told you that.
I
That's
appreciate
a really great name because it gets straight to the point. I mean,
Yes,
straight to-
absolutely. 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 So is there anything else that you would like to say before we close out?
well, I want to make sure that I'm always clear and right straightforward with anybody that I ever like when I make my shows or when you listen to any of my shows that I do. I don't ever claim to have an answer to everything because I just don't. Nobody does.
Mhm.
But I do. But I am not a counselor. I'm not a coach. I'm not a I'm none of that. What I am is just I'm a stepdad who took 10 years before I decided to speak about it. I mean, I wanted to make sure whatever I was going to do worked first before I decided to open up my mouth about it.
Nice.
And that's one of the problems that I have right now with individuals who try to take advantage of the vulnerable places that step parents are in, that they try to pitch them some sort of a coaching program. Mind you, I don't care if people make money. That's never going to bother me. I mean, we live in the country that you can do that.
Right.
But what I don't like is for people that give these 5 solutions to yada yada and blah blah blah, because none of that shit is true. None of it works. And that's why all of my stuff is just kind of in your face and real and honest, and you either like it or don't. But I do know one thing: you can like it or you don't have to like it. But 10 years of doing it, I'm the best at it.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be boastful. I just know that I'm not doing this because I'm shooting from my hip. I have the game plan. I have my blueprint, like you said, and it worked. And it worked, and it's worked for stepdads that have come to me. And it's real simple. Here's 3 things, or here's 4 things. Just go do that. And oh, by the way, learn to shut your mouth, and you'll be all right. And that's the hardest part. People just don't know how to get out of their own way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm really hoping stepdads do.
Yeah. Yeah. This conversation was great, man.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
I've learned a lot, and I'm so glad that this is able to help stepdads, because like I said, y'all don't get a lot of shine, man. And y'all, you guys put in work just like the dads do. And so you guys deserve hand claps.
Shout out to the stepmoms and bio moms too. This is no easy thing to do, because yes, we have to deal with the whole masculinity, leader of the house type of stuff. But
yes,
what bio moms and stepmoms or bonus moms, whatever, what they're dealing with is so much deeper, and it's so much more, like the matrix code that I applaud any stepmom that can really deal with the motherhood factor and like the trust factor, and then like the whole balance of family. I can't even imagine that.
Yeah.
So applaud to everybody that does that.
For sure. Thank you so much. So can you let the viewers know like how they can follow you and keep up with what you have going on?
Sure. So I have my SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube shows, all the Professional StepDad. Real simple to find. Nice. I'm the only one on there that name. TikTok, same thing. Instagram, same thing. I had a website, but it's been put in park position because I've had a guy finishing it up for me. Because I'm getting ready I want to take 10 stepdads through this 12-week program that I have. And it's free. I'm going to do it with them. Nice. But it's a 12-week like boot camp program that I have to put them through like the first 2 years of what I went through. I've condensed it down into 12 weeks to try to help them move a little faster or spark that light a little quicker. So it saves them from, like I said, from having that damn step, that foot out there. That foot out the door is a killer. Yeah. So that's where you find me. It's all the Professional StepDad, and the website will be around soon. But remember, like I said before, I'm in no real rush. I want to make sure that everything that I put out and everything that I possess and everything that I have that represents me and my family is true and honest and real. So that's how you find me.
That's dope, man. Thank you so much, Franco. And until next time. Oh, I want to ask you about your Netflix film. Is it still on Netflix?
No, it came off Netflix. It was on there for 2 years. The movie's called, you can't see it, the movie poster's behind me, but it's called Lift Me Up. Basically what it is, it's a story about a military man who, mind you, when Hollywood got a hold of it, they, and did their crap to it. But it's when a military man, something I didn't touch on, all my girls are dancers.
Okay.
My wife and I grew up dancing in the same studio from when we were 7.
Nice.
We're amateur ballroom champions.
Nice.
So the movie is really focused on dance. Dance is like consumes our life in a good way. So it's called Lift Me Up, and it's a story about a military dad who falls in love with his high school sweetheart. She's got a daughter who's a dancer. Mom dies in a car accident, and stepdad, 16-year-old daughter, have to learn to come together, to trust one another, to move forward. Had a lot of great actors in it. I got some new actors. I got people that are professionals, like Maureen McCormick from Marsha Brady was in it with us. Catherine McCormick, who was a So You Think You Could Dance finalist, and she was in a movie called Step Up.
Yes.
She's in it with us. Shane Harper, who's a good friend of ours. Shane Harper he plays in that TV show Good Luck Charlie.
Okay.
And God's Not Dead, the movie God's Not Dead.
Yes.
And then a few other great actors that were in it. But we got it made. It was put out, and it's basically my message to I literally made the movie, and I raised the money just so my second oldest daughter, Emma, can look at it as many times as she wants to let her know, like, that's how hard I was trying. I was trying so damn hard, I made a freaking film out of it.
Woo! That is so touching, dude. That is,
and that's find it on Apple TV though, for sure.
Oh, it is. It's on Apple TV.
Yeah, you can definitely find it on Apple for sure.
Sweet. I'm gonna look for it tonight for sure. For sure. Wow. Absolutely, Franco. Thank you again so much, and keep up the amazing work.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on, and
absolutely.
And I hope your show is a super success.
Thank you so much. All right.
Okay. All right. See you soon.
Bye-bye.